Hey YouTube, it is me again. How are you guys? So, my previous video, I don't know what happened, but it cut off like at 10 minutes, and that was a 30-minute long video. So, with 20 minutes of it not recording for some reason. So, I'm going to finish what I had said prior to the video, and then I'm going to make an updated video. So I'm going to make 2 videos today. So this is I had a miscarriage on Christmas part 2. I was 13 weeks pregnant. So the end of that video, I was just talking about Saturday, how I went to Macy's, went to go get my mom's gift, and then went home, wrapped my mom's gift, make it look pretty, put it underneath the Christmas tree, and then had dinner, and then started like wrapping up my kids' gift, and then we're hiding it in the closet that my kids never go to. So we were like excited about it because that was the time, like at Christmas is when we were gonna tell our kids that mommy was expecting. So we had like t-shirts and stuff, like cute stuff that shows that they're being a big brother, big sister. So I was excited for that. So then normally, like during my pregnancy, I was very like, I know this is a little TMI, but I was always feeling wet with discharge. So I always sleep with either a panty liner or like a small pad. So I was sleeping with this. I was sleeping with my pad. And then I felt absolutely nothing, not one thing, not whatsoever. So here we go. Early in the morning. It's gonna be a long video. I'm sorry. So early in the morning, I woke up like normal, getting ready to go to work. Got up and wanted to use the bathroom because obviously the first thing you do is you need to pee. So I got up and I stood and I peed. So you know how you have morning eyes, like you kind of like have it open, half closed. So I noticed that I was like kind of awake, kind of. So I looked down on my pad because that's what you normally do, to take it out and throw it out. And I noticed, I'll show you the picture. Sorry guys, this might be a little bit gruesome, but I was gonna take my pad off when I noticed this spotting, this blood. I was like, wait, what? Why am I bleeding? Like I'm pregnant. So I'm worried about that. So I was freaking out, right? So then I was like, okay. So let me just wipe. So then I was like, okay, let me see if there's anything in the toilet. Because if there's something in the toilet, that's not good either. Like there's something that came out. So I looked in the toilet and I see this. I was like, oh my god. So at that point, I called my husband. I was like, babe. He's like, what happened? He's a light sleeper, so he hears everything. I'm like, babe. He's like, what? And then he looked in the toilet. He's like, oh my god, what happened? I said, I don't know. I just woke up and it's blood everywhere in the toilet. So then he was like, oh my god, wait. So then I still couldn't believe it. So I ended up wiping. When I am, I'm very hygienic with my business down there. So I don't use toilet tissue at first. I like using wipes and then using toilet tissue to dry up the wetness from the wipes. So when I was using my wipe, I noticed this. So that was a little, some blood. At that point, I started feeling a little bit hot, flushed. Like I felt like I was gonna like kind of like pass out, kind of, but not really. So I asked my husband to get some water. So he went downstairs to get some water. And then that's when I wiped again, and I see this. So it was clotted. It was clots there. So I'm like, something is wrong. As you can see, like my door was open. Like I could not tolerate it. Like it was so hot in that bathroom for some reason. So then I felt another big cramp, and then I felt a gush. So then the gush, remind you, I did not flush the toilet from before. So I felt a gush, and then there's like a whole toilet bowl full of blood. I was like, oh my god. Then, I know it sounds a little bit weird. Sorry for this gruesome pictures or anything like that, but this is a reality, and women go through this all the time. It was just that I was pretty bummed that it happened to me. But I was like, okay, I had to be the bigger person, even though I'm experiencing the miscarriage, because if I freak out, my husband will freak out. So if I had to remain calm, I had to remain calm for his sake. So then, in my bathroom, like, we always have like mini cups. So when we gurgle our mouth, we have cups there and we spit it out. So I had like a stack of cups in the bathroom, you know, routinely. So I grabbed like a whole bunch of cups, and I felt like something was coming out multiple times. So I grabbed a cup, and this was the first thing that came out. I was like, holy crap. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Then started bleeding some more. Then I was like, I have to grab another cup, because I felt that, like, I know something was about to come out. So I had to grab another cup because it has like intense cramping. It's very hard to explain. People who have not gone through miscarriages, congratulations that you have not, because it's not pretty at all. But you feel like when something's about to come out. So then I grabbed another cup. So at this point, my husband took, well, we have animals, so we have cat and dogs, but we took like a clean wee-wee pad, and we put the wee-wee pad in front of the toilet, and I just put these cups that I put products, like the stuff that's coming out, in the cup. So the next thing that I felt that something was coming out was this. So I don't know in the picture if you can see, the wee-wee pad is in the front, and yeah. Then I was like really crampy to the point where I was bent over like that. I could feel like something huge was coming out. Like, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I was feeling very, very crampy, like to the point of where I was like almost on the floor. But I was sitting on the toilet still. Then this big chunk came out. So I'll explain about this picture in a little bit, but let me just finish the other part of the story. So then I was like, okay. Then it wasn't cramping that much. So then I was like, okay, let me just sit on the toilet for a little bit. So I was rubbing my belly, sitting on the toilet, and noticed that my belly was like flatter. So it's like, this is not good. So I'm like, okay, this is rubbing my belly, rubbing my belly. So then I felt like this really bad, intense cramp, like to the point where I felt like I had to like not push, but kind of help it come out, whatever came out. So it's like, kind of pushing and rocking back and forth like this, and this is what came out, the biggest piece. So I was like, oh my god. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So then I sat on the toilet from 5 a.m. to about, what time? I'll say about 10 o'clock. I just sat on the toilet, like 5 hours on the toilet. Still bleeding though, but went to the emergency room. When I got into the emergency room, the first thing that they did was they drew a bunch of bloods. They did a CBC, another blood to make sure I am not having an infection, and then they did an beta HCG. Then I had to wait for a sonogram because the sonogram is not open yet, so I waited for the sonogram place to open. When they opened, it was the same lady that I had all the time that I went for a sonogram. She's really sweet. Her name is Anna. So we had Anna, and she's like, what happened? And she has like an accent. She's like, what happened now? And I'm like, hi Anna, it's me. I think I had lost the baby. I'm like bleeding and everything like that. So she went inside. So she did my sonogram, and she sees nothing. Like, nothing whatsoever. So, like, she don't see the baby at all. Like, she thinks the baby came out already. So I'm like, wow. She's like, I don't see nothing, but don't tell the doctor I told you because I'm not supposed to tell you first. Doctor's supposed to tell you. I'm very good with personation, I'm sorry. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So went back down to the ED, waited for about 2 hours for everything to come back, sonogram and blood work and everything. So I was like half asleep. We were both half asleep in the room. But the doctor came. Mind you, I'm butt naked and I had like a whole bunch of chucks and I soaked the chucks. So I was sitting there, I was laying there sleeping like sideways. And the doctor knocked and I said, "Yes, come in." So then he was like, "Hi, this is blah blah blah." I said, "Yes." And he's like, "Okay, so my name is blah blah blah. And I just wanted to tell you, unfortunately, you had a miscarriage." And I'm like, I knew, like for some reason I knew, but the funny thing is that when I went to the when I was at home, I my husband was like, take the tissue with you, like the stuff that came out, because we put it in cups already. So we brought the products in, like all the cups, like 7 cups of them, and we brought it in. So he was like, what came out? And I'm like, oh, I have pictures, but I also have it. I brought it with me. So he's like, really? Oh my god, that's perfect. So he called like this lady to put the products in the jar, like the baby stuff in the jar. So he had like these big jars, like yay big. So he took every cup that I have and he put it inside the jar. So I'm like, okay, 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 okay. So then I was like, cool, but I'll explain the results at the next video. So I was like, okay, cool. Then he was like, so unfortunately you had a miscarriage. We're not really sure what happened, but it happened. Your beta HCG has dropped significantly. Your beta HCG was like 1,600. Where so I explained the whole thing that I went to the ED for UTI symptoms, and when they did the beta, it was 111,204. My beta HCG, which was perfect. So, he was like, he doesn't know what happened from that day to that day. So he was like, I don't understand why. But he told me that I need to obviously follow up with my OBGYN doctor. But he said, I don't know why he kind of said this, but this kind of threw my husband and I off for a loop, because this was our first time trying ever since 6 years ago. Because my kids are 6, about to be 7, I cannot believe it. But we haven't tried. Like we used condoms every time we had sex. So this was our first time ever to have unprotected sex and got pregnant within 2 months of starting. So he was like, okay, so you guys maybe suggest you going for genetic testing, because if your husband has some abnormal chromosome and your wife has abnormal chromosome, when it comes together, these things happen like this. But he said, if let's say your husband have abnormal chromosome and you have normal chromosome, normal chromosome, and you come together, if the baby would have been fine. So it's because you both had abnormal. So we were like, okay, which I'll explain that part too in the next video. So we were like, okay, weird, but this is like our first pregnancy trying after 7 years or 6 years of with protection. So we did pretty good that we got pregnant within 2 months, which I'll explain to you in the next video. So he was like, go follow up with your OBGYN as soon as you can. So he gave me the whole week off because he gave me up to the 27th, I believe. The 27th, I believe, of December. So was like at home this whole time, still bleeding. So I called up my OBGYN doctor and I explained to her, and she knew because she had the note in her chart, in her basket, her message basket. So she knew that I was going through a miscarriage. So I call her as an emergency phone call, and luckily she was there. I think it was a Thursday, so luckily she was there. So when I talked to her, I was like, okay, so I had that miscarriage and I'm still bleeding. So she gave me this medicine. Let me show you the name of it. Hold on. She gave me this medicine to take to expel everything out, make sure the uterus is clean and contracted. Back down. Let me see. What's this medicine's name? This one. So she gave me this medicine. So I took it and it made me feel like horrible, like crampy. I felt very sick. So like sick to the point of like in bed sick. So to the point of like me throwing up a little bit, really nauseous, dizzy, headache. I felt faintish, so I was like in bed. She only gave me for 2 days, so I had six tablets in there. So I was taking it for 2 days. So 2 days after, so I still have clots coming out 2 days after I finish my medicine. So I was just like, okay, if the medicine didn't work, so I reached out to Google. You know, everybody likes to Google things because you cannot get to the doctor because it's the holiday and blah blah blah. So I Googled everything, and everybody was talking about suction DNC. So I'm like nervous about that because if I have to get a suction DNC, it would have been like very scary to me because I never had that done before. So I was just like sitting there thinking, and me and my husband were thinking, and we were like, maybe not, maybe yes. I left a message for my doctor, but not as an emergent message because I'm a person that likes to say let nature take its course. So I was like, we left a message from the chart because you do my chart. We left a message and we marked it as unurgent. So obviously it was saying that messages that are not urgent will not be answered until after the holidays. So we were like, it is what it is. But she happened to call me back, which was weird. So that means she was checking her charts when she was on holiday. And she called me back. She's like, "It's you still clotting?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So the next day I'm supposed to go back to work. She didn't want me to go to work because I'm still having the medicine like in my system, so I'm still feeling sick, and B, I'm still heavily bleeding. So she said that's not really feasible for you to come because if you still have those symptoms of the medicine, you should stay home. So she gave me another 5-6 days off. So within those 5-6 days, I'm still bleeding. It's getting lighter, but I'm bleeding. So like, I'll show you the pictures of what I had after all this medicine and everything. So let me just show you the picture. So this was Christmas, where I have bloody pee. So at this point I was taking pregnancy tests to see. That's another thing. This whole entire time after the miscarriage, I take pregnancy tests daily to see that the HCG line in the pregnancy test goes low, like disappears. Because if it's still, I'll explain to you, but if it's still if it still says positive, then you have to get your suction DNC. That's what I learned from Google. So I was taking pregnancy tests, so that was Christmas. At least it was color coordinated to Christmas, but it was red pee. And then when I took the pregnancy test, obviously, I don't know if you guys can see, it still says that I'm pregnant. So I'm like, okay, so then I look in the toilet, and of course, sorry for these pictures, but there's still big clots coming out. So I'm like, okay, then, like I told you when I was doing the miscarriage, I felt and I knew when something like big blood clot is coming out. So I ran to the toilet, didn't pee, I just sat on the toilet for it. That's what I did like ever since, every day. that I was miscarrying after the 21st was I would sit on the toilet and just sit there for an hour and just let whatever needs to come out by itself. So I was sitting in the toilet for about an hour and a half on Christmas. After the 2 hours after this blood clot came out, I sat on the toilet for about 2.5 hours. Oh no, an hour and a half, and this big piece came out, which I felt it coming out. Then, sorry, it's a bad picture, but then as you can see, there's another big one right there and a couple small ones right there. Then of course I wiped, and there's like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but still have tissues coming out. And of course still have a whole bunch of blood clots. So this was, what day was this? The 26th, when I just sat on the toilet. And you can see there's a big blood clots. Then of course as I wipe, it's still bleeding. This was still the 26th. And of course, still bleeding. This is the 27th. Of course, still bleeding again. This is again the 27th. Then, here is on the 28th, where I'm still having these clots. So, I'm already taking the medicine. Remember, I'm sick as a dog. Then, like, I took my medicine, and then like 2 hours later of my second dose of that day, I have gotten this one. Still have a lot of clots and still pretty big. Like in the picture it doesn't look big, but in person it was pretty big. Still had some clots. So then on the 28th, I took another test on the nighttime, and it still shows, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it still shows that I'm pregnant, but it's light. You see? So that means that the product still didn't come out. So at this point is when I called the doctor again. Like, I think I called the doctor at this point. And I called the doctor again, and that's when I was surprised that she called me back. So then, this was also the 28th. This is before I went to bed. I was just like, let me sit on the toilet for about 45 minutes. I didn't want to do an hour because sitting on the toilet is not comfortable for your butt. But especially if it's a small toilet too. Then this was before I went to bed. I said, let me just sit on the toilet for a little bit and see what comes out. And then this what came out. More clots. So remember, I started bleeding on the 22nd. This is the 28th. So 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. That's already a week of bleeding. So I was really concerned. So I was like, we gotta call the doc. So that's when she gave me everything that she needs. Then, what day is this? This is the 28th. No, the 29th. I believe the 29th. Yes, 29th. As you still see, still having clots come out. So, I was like, at this point, I'm saying to myself, let this naturally happen, because I was really afraid to do the suction DNC. I'm already feeling sick as a dog from the medicine, feeling tired, feeling weak. So I'm like, if I go for that, I'm gonna feel even more worse. So I was like, okay, let me do this. So then I was like, let me just kind of sit here and just relax. So when I was about to go back to bed, I felt that urge that something was coming out. So I was like, this is the 28th. So I was like, okay, let me go back on the toilet. I just got off of it. Let me go back on the toilet. So got back on the toilet. and I wanted to catch it, but I ran out of cups in the room, obviously, because I used them all. So I used a wipe. So I put the wipe down there in the business, and it kind of not push, but kind of like just a small little push, and something came out. And this picture really got to me because I was like, wait a minute, this looks like a baby. Like, it looked like an early pregnancy baby. So I know it's gonna be hard to see this picture, but just think about it. It looks like a baby. Do you guys see it? So it looks like this is the this is like the 28th of night in the nighttime. So it looks like the umbilical cord. It looks like the tail. It looks like the head, the feet bud, the hand bud. There's the eye. There's the nose. So that means that this was still in me 8 days before I had started my miscarriage. So I was like, is this the baby? Like, it looks like a baby. So I was like, interesting. Then the very next day, I went to pee, and there was no more blood in the toilet, like no more whatsoever. I just had normal pee. But then I noticed like this very cloudy stuff on my pee. It's not tissue. It's just weird. I don't know if you guys can see it. That's not a flash. That's just my pee. As you can see, it's like all cloudy there. All here. The whole thing. There's no tissue in there. Here's another picture of it. It was just like a whole film of stuff. So then I was like, okay. Then what's the next time I took? The 29th, I took another pregnancy test. I'm still showing positive, but very faint, as you can see. Then the 30th, still showing a very, very faint line. Then Thursday, it still shows a very faint line. Can you guys see it? So that was Thursday. So at this point, I stopped. On Friday, this past Friday, I stopped bleeding. So I was like, perfect. But when that picture of the one that kind of looks like a baby, I have to sneeze. Sorry, that picture after the baby, like that piece of baby my doctor called us, are you still bleeding? And I said yes. Still have clots coming out. She's like, really? So she squeezed me, and I'll explain to you what happened today. So she squeezed me, and for today, that's another video. Sorry if this is taking so long, but then I was able to call, and she's like, okay, I squeeze you in, blah blah blah. She told me come today at 9:45, which I'll explain everything in my next video. So then Friday came, just like a little spot. Nothing else. That's in the morning. When I went to work, had my pad, went to pee, nothing there. Nothing Friday. Saturday, nothing. Monday, nothing. Today, when I peed, no, then what was it? Sunday, I stopped using pads, because when you miscarry, you don't use tampons or panty liners, you use pads. So I stopped using pads and went back to panty liners because it was barely nothing there, just like a tint of red or pink or like brownish color. So I was like, it was like very small. I was like, let me just go back to panty liners. So I went to panty liners on Sunday night, went to bed with them. Then Monday, nothing. Today, this morning, I saw a little bit of this stuff. This stuff, you guys cannot see. Oh, you guys cannot see. Let me see. Maybe this picture will be better. See? It's like, but in the picture it looks like it's pink, but it's like bright orange. Let me see this picture here. So it was like kind of like bright orange. So I was like, okay. So that's today. So I will explain, but I've been also checking my ovulation. Started already Sunday night? Monday morning. No, Monday night after work I checked my ovulation. So anyways, you guys, I'm going to close this video and explain everything in the next video. So this was the end. Unfortunately, my previous video cut off. So it would have been a much longer video, but just one video. But I had to make the second part so you guys can hear the whole story. So anyways, you guys, yes, I am sad that I miscarried, but everything happens for a reason. So I am going back to my TTCing channel stuff and doing that. So for now, I will see you guys soon. Bye.